If you're a TikTok creator, get this right. If one character's looking this side of the lens, have the other character look the other side of the lens.
That's Daniel Thrasher. He's a one-man comedian powerhouse with an entire arsenal of characters.
Well, hello there, player. My ideal is to be like a one-man Key and Peele.
Actually, there are 6 people on his team producing a full schedule of his sketch comedy and piano videos. But despite that rigorous structure, he's able to maintain this kind of pure, raw, creative style.
I have to like get to this like reptilian part of my brain and just like let that come out.
And it's trusting that lizard brain that leads him to his best punchlines.
My rule is if it's funny to you once, then it's funny.
Daniel's comedy is chaotic and sharp.
Now bring your pop some bacon from that down kitchen up down now.
And over the last decade, he's attracted millions of followers.
You say words at a people, and then that people has a response. Like you make their brains squirt different fluids than they were squirting before.
Daniel and I are watching clips from his behind-the-scenes documentary to understand how he writes, shoots, and edits some of the most consistently hilarious sketches on the internet. I have a feeling you are a super nerd.
Okay, thanks.
I am a super nerd.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is like get ultra nerdy on the doc that you made about your creative process.
I'm excited.
All right, here we go.
It really sucks that I have to fucking focus on this.
Yeah.
I would so much rather work on the show.
Okay, so first question. Is this actually how you work? Side by side with your editor?
Sometimes. He had to come in all the time. So this is actually in a unit in the back of my house. And that little editing station right there is where I do like live streams on Twitch and stuff. But yeah, we have him come in every Friday to sort of picture lock for the release on a Saturday.
No, wait, you're okay, so picture lock, which is like, is that how you think of it? Do you like structure it with like picture lock? Is that how you're like operating? Like that's like a big company like thing.
I don't know. I think because I just shot a show for 4 months, so maybe that's where my head's at right now. And like we're doing ADR sessions now to sort of like, I don't know, maybe that word is just sticking in my mind, but yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know what else to.
So does that mean you actually, because some people edit, like Casey Neistat, for example, edits linearly.
I have sort of 2 rules when it comes to editing. One is that I can only edit chronologically. I start with the first frame, and when I get to the last frame, the movie's done.
That's so stupid. I can't imagine.
But he doesn't work with a team.
I mean, he's amazing, obviously. Like
he's amazing. But it sounds like you've got a team, you got a process. Your process is quite different. You like get picture or narrative or whatever first, and then you go in and you add sound effects and graphics and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's like, it's highly scripted. We script in Final Draft, and we beat that script to death, and we try to punch it up and all that stuff. And then after that, we print it out, and then we do a pen edit, just because like sometimes that's more effective. We read it out loud, time it. If it's like 3 minutes-ish, then it's good to go. We shoot it, and then it's probably each video is like maybe 6 or 7 revisions. I noticed too, because you were talking about sound design. Like sound design for me is like the most important thing in selling a joke, I think.
Totally.
Or like, because I feel like, you know, when people watch a video, I want them to have, like, I assume they click on a video in a neutral state, and I want them to end on a high. Like that's kind of how I think of that. And I feel like sound design is so important in like demonstrating the mood you're supposed to feel like by the end of it, or like guiding you.
Yeah, for me, like sound design, I don't separate like sound design and music even. They are the same thing for me. It's all just like audio to tell the story and create feelings. And yeah, let's keep going.
I don't even want to look at this. I think maybe we're trying to get watch time. We're trying to get them to make it to the end. So the mystery of what does the king want, I'm hoping can pull people to the 30-second mark. That's the most important time.
2 things I want to dig into there.
Okay.
First of all, when you're scripting and in the writing phase, in like the ideation, creative generation phase, how much are you thinking about things like watch time and the way the platforms work and the medium on which you are uploading and distributing your work?
More now than before. I used to kind of throw Hail Marys and be like, oh, this is funny to me, and like, that's it. And in the past, I had more of a specific niche about piano comedy. It was very like piano oriented. If you're a pianist, you've seen this stuff. Like, you know, even to this day, people come up and they're like, "Are you the piano guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." You know, like, but it used to be that niche, and I think because I was the first to that type of like single person sketch comedy around an instrument.
Started playing piano in the womb. Mom threw a keyboard up there and told me to practice.
Pretty sure that's not a thing.
You like that? Those are called arpeggios.
I know what arpeggios are.
You merely adopted playing piano. I was born in it.
Okay. It didn't really matter per se what I chose to focus on. It was just like so unique that people would click on it. But now, as I'm sort of going into more like broad comedy, I have to be really particular because there's a lot more competition, and I have to like get them through the first 30 seconds. And and the scripting, it's pretty like. I just met with Stephen He recently, who's like this amazing Asian creator, and he's very funny. He does sketch comedy stuff, and he thinks incredibly visually, and I think very sound-based. And so he's talking to me about layering in like visual gags and stuff, and like he's talking about retention like a maniac. He's also a huge nerd. Yeah, so now I'm thinking of like visual gags, like audio gags, like ways to shake things up and keep people interested. Like mystery box. You ever seen that TED Talk about
my God,
J.J.
Abrams?
Yeah.
What are stories but mystery boxes? There's a fundamental question. In TV, the first act is called the teaser. It's literally the teaser. It's the big question. So you're drawn into it. Then, of course, there's another question, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, look at like Star Wars. You got the droids. They meet the mysterious woman. Who's that? We don't know. Mystery box, you know?
I love that talk.
Yeah.
And you actually talk, so that was the other thing, is you're saying, I hope the mystery of the king is enough to get people through the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So when you're scripting, you are actually thinking about withholding information and giving the audience something to try and figure out for themselves.
Yeah, there's some lore that's been like slowly sprinkled in over the past like 3 years that I still haven't revealed yet. To, like,
Really?
the uber nerds, yeah.
Lore, like sub-stories
Like in the
your
characters
videos.
and yeah, their backstories and stuff.
Love it.
I don't know how to end this sketch. I think it's I don't know.
You can, because you can make adjustments in performance when you actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Something that you could get yourself in front of the camera for, and then.
That's true, and just let the king modify the. Yeah, you're right. This is good. I think. I'm just gonna print a couple of these
For the pen edit, as we talked about.
Right.
Sometimes if you read it on a screen too much, then you start disassociating. So like, and then you print it out. Yeah.
And that just changes your context. And
It does.
Yeah.
When you see it in God's light, it just changes everything.
So this is the printout.
This is the worst example of a printout. This is not accurate. So
Right.
I usually I type it out like very professionally scripted in Final Draft. Like it looks great. It's got character names. What happened was this was in a rush because I had 30 days to do a live show, but I also had to batch sketches to meet sponsor requirements and stuff. So I didn't have time to translate it from like Google Docs. What you see here is like this really weird kind of shorthand that I got going on. So if you go forward a couple frames, so like you'll see like there's slashes in between each line. And so when I'm spitballing by myself and I'm writing as fast as I can on Google Docs, I'll just like start a dialogue with myself. I'll be like, "Why, hello there, player," and then I hit slash. That tells me when I'm quickly reading it that it's a character change. My lord, how's the day? Da da da. You know.
Is that how you do it?
That's how I do it. I'll just sit there and I'll talk to myself, and I'll swip, yeah, and then I'll go back and comb through, and this is like a rough draft, and then I'll translate that into Final Draft.
Where does your specific vibe of humor come from? Why, hello there, yes, my lord.
Yeah.
The whole Monty Python vibe. Like,
Right.
What is your, is that just what comes out when you improvise, or like?
I don't know. I mean, so I actually do have a direct answer to that.
Okay.
So like, there's 3 people that I used to watch religiously back in like 2007. Derek Comedy, so Donald Glover. Do you remember Derek Comedy? It was like the #1 sketch comedy YouTube channel in like 2007-ish, 2008.
Hey, is that my seat? Hey, I like to skateboard. Maybe we can be friends. I never do anything to ruin our friendship like poop my pants.
Donald Glover was so insanely committed to these ridiculous bits. So for example, like like back in the day when they would make like this idea of Mad Hatters came from like there was like Mercury or something and what they were making, and they would go crazy. And so he like played like a Mad Hatter and was like insanely committed, and you can see that in his work today with like, you know, This Is America and stuff, like his odd like, but he's extremely committed whatever he does. Alongside that is Balloon Shop.
Hey, Alex! You know, sometimes I like to curl up in a big ball and pretend I'm a hush puppy. But doing a sweet Derek! Hey, Alex, what you doing? Derek!
And then the third one was Bo Burnham. Was like Bo Burnham for his joke density. He's like a monster at that. So like he like layers, like when you hear one sentence, you can extract 4 jokes, you know?
I love you like kings love queens, like a gay geneticist loves designer jeans. I need you like New Orleans needs a drought, like Hitler's father needed to learn to pull out. And I want
That's your core. That's
I think
where
so.
it comes from.
It's those 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep going.
All right. And this is how I do a first draft, and then I usually put it in a scripting software, but we don't have time.
I love that you're out of character with a wreath on your head. It's hilarious.
Yeah. More characters in this? Would it be weirder if I was in character?
Yes.
I usually put this in a scripting software. And then I
Like that would be like, oh, he's on that like Daniel Day-Lewis bullshit.
Method acting.
Yeah, like God, I would be so. Scott would not be here.
What's up, Scott? Cool. All right.
King, take 1 on staircase.
Okay. So first question about this is, you went from, you said, shooting alone in your bedroom by yourself to King, take 1, camera, screen, lights. Not that this is like a big expensive setup, but like it is one step different from you being alone filming skits by yourself. Is this better? Is it harder? Like what is the difference between working with a camera operator and director versus not?
So I have 6 full-time health insured employees.
Dude.
Yeah. It's,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yes, very cool. I like. I have 2 editors, a videographer, creative producer, executive assistant, production manager. So I guess like the biggest difference for me, sometimes I'll have to like shoo them out if need to get to a particular place in my mind. Like when I'm doing micro songs, which is like this series that I have where I just make up stupid little jingles about random stuff like hummus or whatever, you know. I have to like get to this like reptilian part of my brain and just like let that come out.
Is this a fart? Or do I need to pull over? I can't hold it much longer. Oh my God.
So when you enter that zone, when you're like doing something that really has to come deep from within, you kind of have to be by yourself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that is something that's a little lost. And when you get a bigger team and like figuring out, okay, do I trust my gut? So I'm still finding the balance. I think I'm in a better position now than I was, but yeah.
Is your cat just kind of like down for all this? It's just like in the middle of shots and stuff.
I love my cats, man. They're used to it by now. Just me screaming at nothing, and they're like, "Oh, there's Dad doing his thing."
In one of your recent videos, it was the synesthesia video. There's cats in front of the synesthesia guy, and he reaches over at one point and he pets them, and they're like, "Meow," and he's like, "Sorry." Yeah. Like there's like such like it's like. The timing is so good. Obviously, that's improvised, right?
Yeah.
The cat just happened to meow, and you just went with it, and then you cut it in. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, so how often, like when we watch this unfolding, like on YouTube in front of us, how much of it is like happenstance in the moment versus premeditated beats that you've thought of in the scripting process?
I'd say 85% premeditated. Maybe usually like 95%. But, you know, sometimes the editor will throw in a Hail Mary and be like, here's this thing you did thinking it wasn't going to be in, but it looks pretty good here. I don't know. It depends. But.
Well, hello there, player. Well, hello there, player. Well, hello there, player. Hello there, player. Hello there, player. How are you? Listen, let's have a chit-chat. Well, chit-chat. Let's have a chit-chat. Let's have a chit-chat. Now you can put it up. Let's have a chit-chat. Let's have.
Okay. Do you?
I like to do just a couple takes of
All right.
So do you block it in your mind first, or do you walk through the whole dialogue? Because like, for instance, in that line, when you said, let's have a chit chat, that's when you started moving. How do you know to move on let's have a chit chat? Because clearly you're filming these things, I think, one character at a time, not chronologically.
Yeah.
So then you kind of have to block it out beforehand. How do you block it out and make sure that it all works and maps out?
I think just in the script / when I print out the script, then I'll sort of draw a diagram and figure out like where the camera needs to angle, and then I sort of think about like the rule of 180 and stuff, and like how eye lines match. That's one thing a lot of people on TikTok aren't getting right. If you're a TikTok creator, get this right. If one character's looking this side of the lens, have the other character look the other side of the lens. That's a very important thing, and I have to think about that because I'm acting opposite myself. And sometimes there's 3, 4 characters, and I'm like, where am I looking?
So how do you plan that? Do you know like King look to left of camera, or like
sort of I walk with a camera and kind of figure out where I want people to be seated, and then I'll mark tape on the floor, and I'll angle it, and I'll even sometimes write down the millimeter. I'll be like, this is a good 35 millimeter, and then the character, and then facing camera right or whatever, and I'll put that on a little piece of tape where the cameraman should stand, and just so I can sort of piece all that together before I start shooting the first character, so I know like who is looking where at what point. But when we first start taping, like if they just rolled camera, I will ask who's behind the camera. I'll be like, how's that eye line for so and so, for like Dennis, and they'll go look a little higher, look to your right. That's good, and I'll just remember, okay, I'm looking at that little knob right there, and then I look over here. And then I do that every time I do a take. Yeah.
What time is it? 6:39.
6:39? Fuck. You know what? Let's see if we can. Let's YOLO this bitch. The race is on, essentially. Rolling.
We try to cut at 6, from 10 a.m. to 6.
For writing and production days.
Yeah.
So, and do you do that so that you get a break in the evening? Your team gets a break in the evening?
Trying to. Trying to. Yeah, we're trying to optimize our time. That's where my production manager comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, Daniel footage. I don't know what to say. Whoa! All right, I have to figure this character out and shoot the whole fucking brunt of him. You rolling? Yes. All right, here we go.
This is me trying out different, like, who's this pirate? I'm glad I didn't go with that one. Maybe I should have. The video didn't do that well.
It was great.
Maybe I should have. I might as well. Maybe I'll try that later.
How do you invent the characters? Do you look in a mirror and do
that? Do you remember maybe this is specific to me. Remember when you're on your mom's old laptop, old Hewlett Packard, and you look at like a photo booth software?
I don't know what you're talking about.
And it's got different shapes of your face. Okay,
you're
how about this for the
I've
new?
I've never done anything like that.
For the new young people, then a Snapchat filter, and then a voice comes out, and then you're like, that's kind of what I think when I look in costumes. I'm like, all right, who is this guy? Like, what would be funny to see?
How do you find new things to do? Like, do you ever feel like you've hit your arsenal of characters and you can't find a new one?
No.
It's just infinite? It just pours out?
My ideal is to be like a one-man Key and Peele. They're so infinite in their ability.
Do you guys have roller skates?
Did we accomplish killing America's biggest enemy? Check. Melakaliki Maka!
When you go to acting school, they say like there's pitch, rate, volume. Like those are the 3 things you can do to change your voice. And then like speed up, slow down, higher, lower, louder, quieter. Like that's it for your voice. And then physically, like how big, how small, like, an infinite, deck of cards to play with and reshuffle. And I read a comment once, it was like, Daniel has like 4 voices he does over and over again. And I'm like, maybe I do. Maybe I need to get better at shuffling that deck.
When you're making stuff, how much are you making for that person who wrote that comment? And I don't mean the jerk who writes comments, I mean your audience who watches your videos.
What they want versus what I want?
Yeah, maybe is a way to frame that. And maybe here's what I'm getting at while you're concocting a response.
Yeah. Oh God.
Like some of your shit.
Go on.
Let me throw a frog in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take the gray ones, please.
Okay.
It's so like fucking out there. Your Captain Munch ad is like, holy shit. It's like so.
Yeah.
Just like.
Yeah.
And I guess are you ever? Is there ever a thought that's like, are people gonna get this? Or is it just like, this is stupid and hilarious and I want to make it?
I think for the most part, the things that I respond most positively to, so do they. You know, I think like I've cultivated a crowd that appreciate or understands my sense of humor, and I think that's fine. Like if I get it and I dig it, I know they probably will too. And so I guess I create for myself first.
Are you lucky that the things that resonate with you resonate with millions of people?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, man.
Because like
I could be into some weird shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
You are into weird shit.
I could be into turtles rubbing chocolate on their nipples.
Yeah, that would be weird.
You know, I could be into that, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Publicly.
Right.
So
it's, you know, because I think it's a struggle for a lot of people who are like, I am my first listener. I'm making something, but they make it and then nobody else listens to it.
I think, you know what? I think if you see, that's the thing. Is like when I first started making stuff, I made sketch comedy and it wasn't very good. It was not good. And then I had a video go viral that was me playing piano. I was like, but I want to make sketch comedy, but everybody wants me to play piano. I guess I'll play piano in a sketch, right? So I think like whenever I tell somebody who wants to be on the internet, I'm like, do the thing that you want to do, but pair that with what other people tell you are objectively good at. Like lead with what you're good at, you know, play to your strengths, but also like, you know, weasel in kind of what you want to do, you know? So once I started making single person sketches around me, like messing around on the piano, then people were like really responding to that and it found an audience. Now I'm sort of shifting into this like more regular sketch. Every once in a while I'll play piano and stuff to sort of like entertain. That's where I do think about like previous audience. So I'll play the piano just to sort of gather a crowd, and then I'll like shoehorn in as many jokes as I can, and then I'll play a little ditty to like make sure they're still there. I don't know. I feel like it's a dance that I'm gonna dance until I die. I don't know, man.
That's is that your autobiography is Dance Until I Die?
I might do that.
With the new federal mandate, we've reduced the amount of mercury in every bowl by 20%. And we don't use useless fillers like vitamins and minerals. Instead, we've boosted the fiber in our products by using real recycled cardboard and glass. But before we unveil our new and improved, definitely real nutritional label, Captain Munch wants you to know that
Daniel is a big stupid dummy with stupid ideas.
That's actually the voice in my head whenever I make anything.
Is it really?
No.
Okay, because you seem
I would be possessed.
In the video, you seem there are some genuine, like really wonderful moments that I have too in the studio sometimes where you're like, this is really good. I really like this. It's like I made something and my immediate reaction is like, I'm really pleased. Which is like not all artists have that. Sometimes artists make something like, this is fucking worst thing I've ever made in my life, and they put it out anyway, and people love it, and they're like, nah, they like dog shit.
You know what though? I have a rule for that.
What's
to
your
combat
rule?
that. My rule is if it's funny to you once, then it's funny. In comedy anyway. After that, your critical voice comes in, it's like, well, wouldn't it be better if da-da-da-da, and then you're like, ah, shit, and then you throw it out there and people dig it because they're hearing it the first time, you know?
So then you don't worry about losing perspective 7 or 8 revisions in when you're like, I don't even know the meaning of life anymore. And you're just tired and you don't want to move forward. As long as you know, the first time I saw this, I laughed. Is that kind of your?
That's my compass.
Love it.
You are up.
We could cut. Take off a few frames of my lord of the hold. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you when.
Yes, the messenger pigeon has just informed me that half of the remaining night ship has died. Shh.
How many are left?
2.
Go back. On the word half of the remaining night ship, you can cut in just a little bit.
Here, take this dagger. Whoa. Give it a polish. Look, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Looks good to me, it does. You've got
Good. This is really good.
A genius at work. It really is. I mean, you're laughing, but I'm not kidding. You're clearly obsessed.
Yeah.
You have such a vision for exactly what you fucking want. And you're talking about a couple frames. You're talking about literally milliseconds of changes to the video to make the rhythm and the jokes land. I guess, Can you walk us through, like, when you watch that happening and you say, take off 2 frames here, what do you remember what was happening in your head? Or when you generally, when you're talking about shaving frames, why are you obsessing over those milliseconds? What does it do for the output?
I think it's like comedy's like a song to me, and I think to get it just has to sound right.
And sound right from a rhythmic perspective, or something else about the way it sounds?
I think definitely picking up the cues. So like this is an old Vlogbrothers thing that I learned from years ago, is like, as the first sentence ends, you want the second sentence to pump right in there, right? And so in comedy, that's extremely important.
That's how Hank edits his videos. Yeah. There is 0 frames of silence between sentences, and sometimes the sentence starts just before the other one ends.
Yeah.
What do you call a 5-foot psychic that's escaped from jail? A small, medium at large. Why did the mermaid wear seashells? Because she grew out of her bee shells. What concert cost 45 cents? 50 cents, featuring Nickelback.
Some people are overwhelmed by that, but it's what I grew up on, and so now it's how I think about editing dialogue for like YouTube.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anybody who's gonna buy tickets to your show is gonna watch to the very end of your videos anyway, I think.
Nah. No, we don't know that. We don't know that. It's just psychology is all. They don't want to be sold every time. This ad's funny as fuck though. This hopefully gets to 40% retention. That's my guess.
Do you make retention guesses on your videos? Or are you like, this one's gonna get
sometimes. My team and I started doing this thing that we need to get back into doing, which is like every time a video goes live, right before we click go live, or right before it's scheduled to go live, I'll be like, how many views do you think this is gonna get in 30 days? I want to do that again because it's going to calibrate us in our creation phase of like, what would get more views. Not that I am objectively looking to get the most views, like Mr. Beast, for example, but I do have a sponsor in every video on Saturday, so I'm trying to appease them a little bit or give them a reason to come back.
All right.
This thumbnail, it's not clickable enough. Really? It is here. It's not there. No, it's not. It's too dark. It's too dark. Look at this thumbnail, audience. Look at this. It's too dark. I think it needs some kind of color, maybe like a purplish hue in the background or something. Maybe you could fuck with the colors on that. But yeah, What It Takes to Be Knighted in Medieval Times. I think this is the title though. That's fine. I don't know. This video in my brain will get 384,000 views in 30 days. I think we could do better. All right, it's public, and we're gonna leave that alone. 27 comments. Great. Someone said lick my balls. Pretty good.
So on thumbnail creation, you definitely have your own brand of thumbnails.
Yeah.
How intentional is that, or is it just what comes out?
It was intentional, and now it's just habit. So it was like, I definitely wanted to have something that was a still from the video, because that harkens back to like old school YouTube when you couldn't pick your thumbnail. And I just liked the idea of something that's organically from the content with like one word. And I also sort of like try to combine the title and the thumbnail to create a meme or to elicit a good feeling. So like if the title's like, when you blah, 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 the thumbnail should like kind of answer that. It's like a setup and punchline.
All right, one more.
Say words.
Words.
Oh, yes!
The first thing I want to talk about is just touch base about promotion. I know we've been texting a little bit today about it. The TikTok went out.
We went bowling yesterday, and this group of kids walked up and was like, "Hey, you're that guy from TikTok." And I was like, I'm not a...
Really?
Yeah.
So there's obviously the TikTok thing, but you're doing Zoom calls, like you're doing editing, you're doing post-production, you're writing. I mean, you must be insanely busy.
Yeah. And I was actually, well, I just declined a phone call earlier. I don't know who that was, but I'm sure it was gnarly.
Is that why you hired an EA? Because your schedule is just insane and you need to just map it out?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess like zooming out for a second, you started making videos alone in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You have a team of 6 full-time people, a Hollywood manager. You're flying to London and filming TV shows. I mean, like, you're kind of living the dream. Does it feel like that now?
I think I'm always, it's that, what is it, hedonic adaptation or whatever, where the treadmill of like you're always looking up, and my mom will tell me I'm not stopping to smell the roses, but I do wake up every day in my house in LA and driving around my neighborhood, and I'm like, God, I love it here, man. I just love, like, I understand how freaking lucky I am to be able to do creativity for a living, and whenever somebody stops me, out and about and tells me their story about like how they would watch my stuff when they were down or when they were sick or when so-and-so passed or whatever, it just, that's why I really do it. I know that sounds cheesy or silly or whatever, but I really do it as like a service. Isn't that weird? I don't know.
That's not weird at all.
Does that seem self-inflated? I'm not trying to be, I promise.
0%. Those are the moments for me as a creator, because yeah, you can kind of get lost in the the metrics and all that, and all that is important. I'm not saying it's not important. It is. I spent a lot of time thinking about that stuff, but it like the moments that make me feel like I'm answering the why are those moments. Like
Simon Sinek.
There you go.
Come on, man.
Wow,
we read self-help books.
I know.
My man.
Non-fiction for the win.
I'm telling you, boy.
So yeah, like my favorite YouTube comment Pomplamoose ever got was, somebody was basically saying like, "Hey, I got my drums out of the attic after 20 years of not playing."
Come on, man.
That's
like, what I'm talking about.
That's it. I'm done. I did it. Like
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
That's amazing. Yeah. What we do as like. What I always say is like as comedians or musicians or whatever artistry you have, like you're a wizard. I'm gonna zoom into comedy here for a brief moment. But like as a comedy person, let's use the phrase comedian. As a comedian, you say words in a series of order, in a particular order, at a people, and then that people has a response, like neurochemically in their brain. Like you make their brain squirt different fluids than they were squirting before because of the words that you said in a particular order. Isn't that wizardry? Isn't that the definition of you cast a spell on somebody and now suddenly they're squirting different fluids? That's pretty cool, man. And I think as a musician, that's a similar thing.
That's one way to frame it and a great way to end it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Daniel.
Ending on a squirt.
Squirting fluids all day long.